Good evening. Pull your chair in close and settle yourself by the hearth. The wind outside may howl against the windows, but here, by the fire, we are safe. Or so we like to think. Tonight I invite you to journey with me into the shadows of history, to the quiet coastal town of Hove, where a ghost is said to walk. Not the bustling Brighton of fish and chips and flashing lights, but Hove, its quieter, more refined sibling. With its Regency terraces and peaceful lanes, it hardly seems a place for hauntings. And yet, for those who listen closely, Hove harbours whispers of a man long dead, a man once feared, now pitied. The ghost of James Jemmy Botting, the Newgate Hangman. Let us turn the pages back to a darker time. In the early 1800s, London was a city of fog, filth and fear. Justice was swift and the gallows stood tall at Newgate Prison, its executions a public spectacle, a grim theatre for the masses. Presiding over this theatre was Botting, a man with calloused hands and a reputation as cold as the noose he wielded. His name became known across the country. It was he who executed the Cato Street conspirators in 1820, radicals who had plotted to assassinate the British cabinet and spark a revolution. Among them was James Ings, a butcher by trade and a Brighton native, executed by a man who may have once passed him in the streets. And in 1824, it was Botting who pulled the lever on Henry Fauntleroy, a banker convicted of forgery, the last man in Britain ever hanged for that crime. Thousands watched, and the newspapers swelled with moral outrage and morbid fascination. Botting, expressionless and methodical, did what he always did. His duty, or so he claimed. But when the work was done, and he laid down the noose for the last time, he returned to Hove, hoping perhaps for a quiet retirement. What he found instead was contempt. His neighbours did not forget. They saw not a servant of justice, but a killer, a man who made his living from the deaths of others. Stories followed him, whether true or coloured by fear. It was said he drank too much, that he muttered to himself, that he had nightmares that he could not shake. Before long, paralysis took half his body, and he built himself a crude, rickety wheelchair. He became a figure of pity and of ridicule. He would wheel himself through the narrow, muddy lanes of Hove, often returning from the gin shop alone and half lost in his own mind. And then came the night of October the 1st, 1837. The road was slick with autumn rain. Botting, weaving home through the dark, struck a deep rut in the path. His homemade wheelchair broke. He tumbled to the ground, too weak to rise. He called out into the night, but the night did not answer. No door opened, no lamp was lit. Instead, a small crowd gathered. Passers-by, neighbours, onlookers. Some laughed, some scoffed. No one helped. The hangman was alone, hated even in his final hour. And there he died, cold, wet, humiliated, a man who had taken many lives and found no hand to hold at the end of his own. Today, where that rough lane once lay, there stands a modern supermarket on Weston Road. Bright lights, aisles of groceries, the hum of refrigerators. But some say the past lingers there, just beneath the surface. One local woman told of a strange encounter late one evening. She'd stepped out of the store when she saw something large low to the ground at the edge of her vision. A shape. She turned to look, and as she did, a cold wind brushed her face. She heard breathing, laboured, raspy, like lungs too long soaked in damp air. And then, nothing. The shape was gone. When she reported this to the shop assistant, he simply nodded and said, Yeah, that happens out there. I reckon it's a ghost. The ghost of James Botting, perhaps. Still crawling, still wheezing, still dying, over and over again. So, if you find yourself in Hove, near Weston Road, and the night is heavy and the wind sharp, remember the story. And if you see a figure at the edge of your sight, if you feel a sudden chill, or hear breathing with no mouth to make it, spare a thought for the man no one would help. The hangman who died as he lived, feared, hated, and utterly alone. Sleep well, and watch your step. If you enjoyed this journey into the eerie past, don't forget to like the video. It helps more people discover these forgotten tales. Subscribe to the channel for more fireside ghost stories, true hauntings, and the darker corners of history. And if you've ever experienced something strange, or have a local legend of your own, please leave a comment below.